Before we get to that, I mentioned that John McCain was referring to guys like Ted Cruz and Rand Paul as wacko birds. And the filibuster, the occasion for Rand Paul's filibuster was the nomination of John Brennan to be the next CIA director. And remember, there is good evidence that he is actually a Muslim convert. In fact, somebody told me that in the movie Zero Dark 30, which I have not seen, that there's a scene where a CIA personnel, somebody in the CIA, somebody comes into their office or into their room or someplace, and he's on a Muslim prayer rug. He's doing his prayers. And somebody believes that represents John Brennan. He's the guy that refers to Jerusalem as Al-Quds, which is the Arabic name, the Muslim name, not the Israeli name, not the Jewish name. So it's controversial at the least. I mean, Iran loves him. Israel doesn't trust him. That's all I needed to know about the whole deal. And Rand Paul went to the floor. His filibuster was connected. He wasn't filibustering Brennan's nomination because Rand Paul says, look, I think the president ought to be able to have the people of his own choosing. But it's interesting that even though Rand Paul voted for cloture, he voted to bring the filibuster to an end so that a vote could be taken. He wound up voting no on Brennan. So he voted yes on cloture. Let's go ahead and get to the vote because he thinks the president ought to be able to have the guys of his choice. But then he voted no on Brennan. I misunderstood that. I thought last night that he had voted for Brennan. He did not. He voted against Brennan. But somebody that did vote for Brennan is Marco Rubio. So Marco Rubio is one of 13 Republicans. He's out there with John McCain and Lindsey Graham voting for John Brennan to be the next CIA director. So there are going to be some eyebrows raised over that. Interesting statement here from Anthony Kennedy. One of the things that we have complained about for years and years and years is judicial activism. I was talking with this reporter from the New York Times this morning, Eric Ekholm, and he was asking me about these fetal heartbeat bills. And there was some division in the pro-life community in the state of Ohio over the fetal heartbeat bill. The pro-life community was divided over, but the reason they were opposed to it, a fetal heartbeat bill says as soon as you can detect a baby's heartbeat on a monitor, its life must be protected. That's a beating heart. I mean, if you've got a beating heart, that's something that's alive. And in America, we do not kill things that are alive, especially when they are human beings, without good cause. We don't kill human beings. We don't stop a beating heart unless that individual has committed a crime that merits capital punishment. And these babies have done nothing to anybody. They are completely, from a legal standpoint, a judicial standpoint, absolutely innocent. And we are stopping a beating heart. We're killing a human being, a human life. We're stopping a human life. And what I explained to the writer in the New York Times, the only reason that they were squabbling over this is because they were concerned about a constitutional challenge. They were concerned that a judge was going to toss the thing out and it could endanger other pro-life protections. And I said, look, what this tells you is there's nobody in the pro-life community that thinks that we ought to abort babies once you can hear the heartbeat. Not one single soul in the pro-life movement believes that. So what it shows us is how the judiciary has taken America hostage, and their tyrannical intrusion is keeping the American people from being able to govern themselves. Now, it's interesting that Anthony Kennedy, who's going to be making a decision on Prop 8 and DOMA here, he's out there now openly thinking that judicial activism has gone too far. This is pretty striking. He's talking about judicial activism. I think it's a serious problem. Anthony Kennedy, a democracy should not be dependent for its major decisions on what 9 unelected people from a narrow legal background have to say. Sounds like stuff that we've been saying for 30 years. That's Anthony Kennedy. Possible good news for the Prop 8 ruling. Focal Point, AFR Talk.